Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good morning, and today we're having another tangle lesson, and we need our O1 pen or any pen that you have on hand, a pencil, a tortillon, or a Q-tip. Now today's monotangle is going to be Betweed, another fun tangle. Okay, so get comfortable in your seats, and we're going to take some deep breaths to relax us. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. Do that again, and one more time. Okay, so we start again by appreciating and having gratitude for being able to be here and take part in these classes and learn something new. Now, we're not going to do corner dots today, and we are not going to do a border or a string. We're going to go right to the tangle. And the tangle is going to go from edge to edge on this 2x2 tile. So what we're going to do is we're going to start somewhere in the corner, in the bottom left-hand corner. It doesn't have to be directly in the corner. And we're going to make a curved line to the upper right corner. And again, it doesn't have to be centered. It could be off-centered. Off-center even looks better. So I'm just creating that line. And then I'm going to turn my tile so that I have an empty bottom left corner and an empty top right corner. Let me put my light on, see if this helps. Yeah. And I'm using the wrong pen. I need to use a darker pen so you could see. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start at the lower left corner. We're going to go to the right corner, and we're going to make it off center. And there's our next line. Now we're going to make a line in the middle, going through that cross. So it's going to be a slightly curved line. So we're going to do it, off middle from left side, going through that middle somewhere to the right side. And then we're going to turn our tile so that we have no line in the horizontal position, because that's what we're going to do next. We're going to do another curved line from the left side to the right side, crossing in that middle. And take your time doing this. There's no hurry. Okay, so there's our base to start our Betweed. So you could pick any wedge place you want. They're all going to be done the same way. So I'm going to pick this part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a line starting at the bottom here, and I'm going to go up and slant it a little this way. So here we go. I'm going to slant it a little. And then in this little corner, I'm going to come in and I'm going to put the rounding technique that we learned a few videos back in there to make it look a little rounded. And I'm going to turn my tile because we're going to start in the corner on the other side of the same wedge, and we're going to come up this way the same way we did the first line. So it's going to, watch my hand, it's going to come up slightly bent. So we're going to start at the bottom, at the corner, and we're coming up to meet that first line. And then we're going to make a little wedge right there. And then we're going to alternate sides, doing the same thing we just did. So we start in the corner bottom left of that wedge, and we come up, and then we add a little rounding to it. Okay, and then we're going to turn our tile to what is ever comfortable for you to make that opposite line. So we're going to start at the right bottom, and we're going to come up in a slight bent line, and we're going to make another little triangle. Of course, that doesn't look much like a triangle. And then we're going to go back to the left side, and we're going to do the same thing and make that little wedge. So you see what you have now. And we're not going to do any more at the bottom here. So you have a choice. You could leave the bottom like that, or you could fill it in with more tangles like tipple or whatever. But let's continue doing all the wedges, and then we'll see where we're going to go. Now you always start, you go to the next wedge, always start on the left side. So we're going to start on the left, and we're going to make that bent line meet the right side. We're going to put that little rounding in there by making a little triangle. Turn your tile so that it's comfortable for you to make the opposite line, going from the bottom right to meet the first line that you made. And then we're going to put that little rounding the triangle. Okay, then we're going to continue on the left side and bring that up and touching the last line you just did. And we're going to add that little triangle to round it out. And then turn your tile to make it comfortable for you to make the next line coming from the right side over to the left. I just want to fix that a little. Okay. Then we're going to put a little triangle to make it rounded. And then we're going to come up from the left and go over to the line you just made on the right, arching it a little, and just make that little triangle. And I think I'm going to do one more on the right. So I'm going to start at the right bottom, go over to the left, and just put a little rounding in there. I'm going to stop there. Move it over to the next wedge, and we do the same thing. We start at the bottom left, and we arch it to the right. And then we're going to add that little triangle, and then turn the tile so it's comfortable for you to make the line from the bottom right to the last line that you made. And then just put that little rounding triangle in there. And then we're going to go to the left, and we're we're going to do the same thing as we've been doing. Okay, now you're going to go to the right, start at the right, and you're going to come over to the left line. And just put that little triangle. And I could put one more, but I don't know if I should. I'll do it. I did it. I put one more in there. And you just put that little rounding in. Okay, now you go over to the next wedge, and we do the same thing. We start at the bottom left, and we go over to the top right, curving that line slightly. And then we make that little triangle rounding. And then turn your tile so that you could make your line from the right to the left easier for you. So the line is coming towards you, not across you. Making any line horizontal is a very shaky line. The straightest lines are coming towards you or going away from you. So we start at the corner right, and we come over to the left, make that little triangle. And then we're going to start at the corner bottom left, and we're going to go over to the right side. And sometimes these corners aren't corners, they're just sort of rounded, and that's okay. Okay, now turn your tile so it's comfortable to go from right to left. And then just put a little rounding in there. And I'm going to stop there. Now we go over to the next wedge, and we're going to start again from the bottom left, arch it a little to the right line, to the right side. Okay, and then we're going to just put a little triangle of black in there, which rounds it out nicely. I don't know why I'm having trouble there. Okay, then turn your tile so that your next line is going to be coming towards you. So you're going to start it from the bottom right and come up to the left side, the last line that you made, and curve it. And then put that little triangle in there. And then we're coming from the bottom left over to the right, with a little curve at the end. The more you curve it at the end, the better you could get that little triangle in there. Now you're going to turn the tile so that your next line from the bottom right will come over to the left. And I'm going to do one more from the bottom left to the right. And there you go. Now we're going to move it over to the next wedge, and we're going to do the same. We're going to start from the bottom left, arch over to the right. And so here we go again, having that little arch. So we could put in our little triangle. Okay, and then turn your tile so that you're going to bring the line from the bottom right over to the left, and that the line is coming towards you. And then we're going to make the line from the bottom left over to the right. Okay, and then we're going to turn the tile. So our next line is going to come towards us from the bottom right over to the left. And then we're going to go from the bottom left over to the right. And then I'm going to do one more from the bottom right over to the left. Make that little triangle. Then I'm going to turn my tile and we're going to go to the next wedge. And we're going to go from the bottom left all the way to the right. And do these lines slowly. There's no hurry. This is not a race. Make that little triangular wedge. This is not a race. Take your time. Remember to breathe. People forget to breathe. Loosen your grip on your pen. People have a death grip on their pen. And just keep breathing. Okay, so we're going to turn the tile so that the next line from the bottom right to the left is coming towards you. And just do it slowly while you're breathing. Loosen the grip on the pen. That's very important because you get a better line when you have a relaxed hand. Okay. And then we're going to go from the bottom left over to the right. And we're going to make that little triangular rounding. And then we're going to turn the tile and we're going to go from the bottom right over to the left. And then we're going to make that little triangular rounding. Then we're going to go from the bottom left over to the right and make that little triangular rounding. And I'm going to do one more. I'm going to go from the bottom right over to the left by turning my tile towards me. And then just put that little bit of rounding in there. Okay, last one. We're going to start at the bottom left. We're going to come over to the right, just like we've done with all the other wedges. And then we're going to put that little triangular rounding in there. And then we're going to turn the tile so that our next line is coming towards us. So we're going to start at the bottom right. And we're coming over to the left. And you could space these lines out as, any way you want. There is no right or wrong. So now we're going to go from the bottom left, curving it to the right. And putting that little triangular black in there. And we're going to turn the tile so our next line is going to come towards us. We start at the bottom right and we come over to the left. I hope I'm not losing anybody. You could always watch the replay. Remember to breathe, loosen your grip on your pen. We're going to start at the bottom left, and we're going to come over to the right. Put the little rounding in there, and then we're going to start at the bottom right, turning the tile towards you, and we're going to come over to the left. Put the little rounding in there. And now I'm going to start from the left, go over to the right, put that little bit of rounding in there, and then this probably be the last one. Turn the tile towards you, bottom right, come over to the left, and just put that little bit of rounding in there. Okay. So we have all our lines in. I love the way it looks. Now, if you want to, like I said, down here and here at the bottoms, you could put tipple or dots or whatever, or leave it. I'm gonna leave mine. And now for the shading, which is my fun part. Okay, so I'm going to, there's so many different ways you could shade this, but I'm gonna make this look really puffy. So I'm going to graphite the whole outside. Remember to use the side of your pencil. And I'm putting down a little heavier than normal because I really want to give that effect of rounding, and I have to pull it a lot in the middle. And remember, you could always add more if you need it, if you want it darker, if it's just, you know, just not enough graphite. And I might have to add more. So you just go all around the edges. I am going to add a little more. As I can see, it's not going to be enough. Okay, then I'm going to take my tortillon. And remember, whenever you're putting down graphite or using your tortillon, you use the side of the tool, but you also have the point pointing towards the line of where you started the graphite. So being that I started at the edge, I am pointing my tortillon at the edge because I want to pull it into towards the center. So I'm going in circles and pulling that graphite in a little, grinding the graphite into the paper, turning my tile, and just pulling it in. Remember, you want to keep the center white, so don't put any graphite there. But you're going around and pulling in the graphite and grinding it into the paper. This is the part that makes your tile come alive. It makes it come alive, it makes it pop. I'm gonna add a little more graphite. It makes it pop. It just does so many wonderful things for your tile. And there are people that don't like to do this part. But I think it's an unfinished tile if you don't have your shading. But that's my opinion. Okay, so I'm blending that more and getting it more into the center without getting the center full of graphite. I'm just pulling it in more. And remember to turn your tile, breathe, and keep turning your tile. Now look at your tile, hold it away from you, and turn it around and admire it. I love the way this looks. Now you find your up and down, your left and right, because you want to put your initials or your chop in here. So find which side you like the best as the top, and then find a place to put your initials. And I'm going to put my initials right here. Right there. Then turn it over, and you're going to sign your tile. You're going to put today's date, which is 4/17. And I always put where I live, Plano, Texas. And there you have your beautiful finished Betweed. To add, you can now add this to your Tangle reference library. Oh, and this is, if in case you catch keeping up, this is video 8. And let me show you some samples of other Betweed. Now, here's a more abstract Betweed, and I just shaded it in the middle. I didn't shade the outside. Here is a Betweed right here that you could make into a border, which is fun. And then last night, when I was scrolling through Facebook, I found this gorgeous drawing by Stephanie Kefhaber. She used Betweed in a very free-form way. I thought that was very interesting. So you could take this tangle, or any tangle, make it your own, and experiment, and you're just limited by your imagination. So please, if you try this tangle, take a picture and post it in the comments. Also, I'm getting ready to do a basic 101 Zentangle class on Zoom, which will be a paid class. And if you're interested, put your comment down there so I could contact you. And have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye.